In this presentation, we will calculate the sales price using a variable cost method. We're going to have our information up top. We'll put that information into tables that we will create down below. We will, in essence, make these tables from scratch. If you would rather use pre-formatted tables and enter the information, we will provide those as well. We do recommend putting the information up top for this problem and any type of problem that you are working in the format of text and then numbers in separate cells, so that you can refer to those numbers using cell references, that being the most efficient way to move forward. Our data up top is going to include direct materials per unit, direct labor per unit, variable overhead costs, and then the fixed overhead costs, the fixed selling and admin, and then the target profit and the estimated unit sales. So we're going to use this information. Notice we have the variable numbers here. We're going to try to figure out using a variable cost method, or we will figure out the amount that we're going to have a sales price. We're going to use kind of a break-even type of analysis format given the target profit that we have here in the estimated units that we will sell. Okay, so we're going to set up our table down below. We're going to calculate the total variable cost. This is where we'll start. And we're going to say that the variable cost, we're going to have units starting here, and then we're going to have unit cost, or cost per unit, and then we'll have total. So that's going to be our headers. I'm going to select these cells. We're going to go up top. We're going to go to the alignment, wrap the text, and then I'm going to go to the home tab, alignment and center. And then let's make this black and white. So I'm going to select the headers, home tab, font. We'll make it black and white so we can see it clearly. And then we're going to go into our calculation. So we're going to start with the direct material per unit. This is going to be equal to the direct material per unit. I'm going to say that the unit cost, it's going to be the 114. Let's make this the unit cost. And this is units. Let's just say the total units, or number of units. Say number of. We'll say number of. All right, that's what we're going to do. And then we'll go down and say the next item is going to be the direct labor. So the direct labor is going to be equal to the direct labor tab. That's going to be the 39. And then we're going to have the variable overhead. And that's going to be the 49. Now we'll multiply this times the number of units, which is going to be equal to the 10,004. And we're going to keep that same number. I'm just going to say equal to 10,004 above equals to 10,004 above. We'll multiply this out then. Equals the cost per unit times the 10,004. We can autofill that down. 39 times 10,4, 49 times 10,4, or autofill. So we'll select this item, autofill it down. So it looks like it's doing what we want. That looks good. And then we have the total variable costs. We can add up the per unit totals if we want. This is the sum per unit. Whoop, wait a sec. Sum per unit. And then this is going to be the total. Sum. Okay. And then we're going to underline these two. I'm going to hold down Control and select those non-adjacent cells. Home tab. That means they're not next to each other. Font. And underline. And then I'll select these non-adjacent, or non-next to each other cells. Home tab, font, and double underline. So then we'll select from A12 to D15, home tab, font. We're going to select the bucket, more colors, and I'm going to go to the standard tab and select the color blue, and OK. And then home tab, font, we're going to select the borders and all borders. All right, so then we'll consider our markup percent. We're going to calculate the markup percentage. And so we can make that black and blue. That's going to be our header. Black and white, I should say. Black and blue. And then we're going to say the target profit. So the target profit, we're going to start off with the target profit is the, that here, that's going to be equal to the 210. So we're going to add to this kind of like our break-even type of analysis calculation. We're going to add to that the fixed costs. This is going to be equal to our fixed costs for the overhead. And we're going to have fixed costs for the selling and admin. So those are going to be equal to the 348,312 and equal to So we're going to scroll up in the selling and admin 251,000, and then we're going to underline this home tab font underline. We're going to call this a subtotal. And notice so far we got a similar type of calculation to our break even or our target profit type of analysis. We got the fixed cost plus what our target profit is. We usually divide that by the contribution margin, which is the sales per unit, minus the variable cost per unit. Right now, we just have the variable cost per unit, and we're trying to figure out what the sales item will be. So let's sum these up. We're going to say, all right, here's the sum of these items, and that gives us the 819,312. That's our fixed cost plus our target. And then we're going to have the total variable costs. We're going to compare that to the variable costs, which are 2,108,000 that we calculated. That's our total variable costs. And then this is going to be our markup percentage. So our markup percentage, we're going to compare the 819,312 to the 2,100,000, or the target plus the fixed costs equals target plus the fixed cost divided by the variable cost, the total variable cost we calculated. I'm going to have to change the formatting, home tab alignment, increase the decimals, and or percentage. We make it a percent. Looks like it's an even percent at 39%. So we can format the table. We can select from A18 to B23. Home tab font, we're going to make it to blue. Home tab font group and border it. I'm going to make this black here. So font, we'll make that black just to follow that across. And then this is going to be the calculation. We'll make another table here for selling price using the variable cost method. So what's going to be our selling price? We're going to take the variable costs, which is going to be the 202, and then we're going to take our markup that we just calculated. Oh, let's do that again. Variable costs, this is going to be the total variable costs, which equals the 202 over here, and then markup. So let's say this equals our markup percentage. The markup percentage is going to be equal to this 39%. Let's format that by going to the home tab, number, and percentage. And then we're going to say, if we say what our markup is, then the markup will be equal to the 202 times the 39. And that's going to be 79. We're going to round that. So it's home tab, numbers. We're going to increase a few decimals. So it's actually 78. And then this is going to be the selling price then. And that's going to be equal to the 202 plus the 78. And that's going to be the 281. Again, it's rounded. So if we go to the home tab, alignment, increase the decimals, looks something like that. And we could do that a bit quicker by, we could say the 202 times the 1.39, right? 1.39, we get the 280.78 as well. So we can go ahead and format this now. I'm going to select from A26 to B29. We'll go to the home tab font and we'll make that blue. And then we'll go to the home tab font and put the grid marks in there. We'll select this title. I'm going to go to the home tab font, make that black and white. So that we have that. Again, we could do some underlining we should have done up here. So we'll go to the home tab font, underline. I'll go to the home tab font and underline, and then home tab font and double underline. And let's go ahead and double underline this item. Now we could check this. We could have a check figure and say, all right, does this make sense? Well, let's work this out. If we say that we're going to sell units, and we say that the units that we're going to sell are going to be the 10,400, and then we're going to say the selling price is going to be equal to this 280.78. Let's go ahead and add the decimal, home tab number, increase the decimals. That's going to give us our revenue, or let's call it just sales. This is going to be equal to the 10,004 times the 280.78. So then we can calculate our variable costs. The variable costs are going to be equal to the variable costs, and that'll be equal to the 2,100,800. And then we'll have our fixed costs. Actually, let's delete this line. We don't need this. I'm going to select the whole line, right click and delete it. And then we'll say that the fixed costs are going to be equal to the fixed overhead. And then we'll have fixed costs for the selling and admin. The amounts being equal to the 348,312 and the 251,000. So that means that if this is our sales price minus the costs, we're going to say the income or net, or let's say income, is going to be equal to the sales minus the variable cost minus the fixed cost minus the fixed cost. And that'll give us our profit of 220,000, which of course is what we were aiming at, the 220. So that's going to give us our check number. So let's go ahead and select these items. Home tab font. The bucket, we'll make that blue. And then we'll put the borders around it. We'll select the checked item up top. Home tab font, we'll make that black and white. So there we have that. Calculations, we're going to underline this number. Home tab font, underline. And then we have our items here. We're going to underline here. And then we'll put the double underline in our check number.